Vroom, 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 vroom. Honk, honk. Get in, losers. We're going struggling. Vroom, 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 vroom. Hello, friends, and welcome to another ride in the Struggle Bus, where every wheel is an empty triangle. On today's bus ride, we are playing against a 10K on OGS. They are right there. They are right there, breaking into that single-digit Q barrier, but it's not always easy. Then that is why we are here. Either way is a pretty exciting game. The theme of this one is kind of Aji Keshi. If you guys are unfamiliar with that term, hopefully you know the term Aji, where it's kind of just like there's some potential that's lingering there that could muck things up. Aji Keshi is when we ruin that Aji, where we have Aji, but we play a move that just forces our opponent to fix the Aji. There are a couple of situations in this game where that happens, and so that's probably what we're going to be focusing on. Anyway, as per always, I'd like to thank our opponent for playing us today. I'd like to thank you guys for watching these videos, and I'd like to thank my Patreon subscribers for supporting the channel. Anyway, so let's go Keshi Samaji. Okay, here we go. We are playing against a 10K on OGS today. They are knocking on the door of single-digit Q land. Single-digit Q land saying, no, it's not that easy, because it's never that easy. That is okay. We are going to be focusing on the basics. As per always, we are going to be focusing on corners, then sides, then finally the center. We're going to be focusing on third and fourth line stones because we want to get a good balance of territory and influence. And yeah, that's you guys know the shtick by now. So we've got our 3-4 corner, or their 3-4 corner that we can go after. I'll go approach theirs. Chose to do high because we've got a low stone over here. Also, I just like approaching high. And we get a really far away pincer. I'm going to go attach to this stone, go see if we can take the corner, see what our friend wants to do with it. So our friend cuts. We will absolutely go and take the cut. I'm curious to see what way they're going to go with this. Okay, so they choose to Atari. We will extend. That threatens to either kill this stone or kill C2. So with them pushing, we can do a couple things. We can go and take this Atari first. I think that's what we're going to do. Otherwise, we can ladder the stone, but I don't want our friends to get this too easily. So we're just going to take this Atari, and then we are going to ladder this stone. So that'll give us a nice strong group here. That should be nice and live, and it keeps black really, really low. At the beginning of the game, we like getting third and fourth line stones. And so if you can force your opponent to get second line stones while you get third line stones, that's going to be really beneficial for you. And in this case, black's going to have to keep on pushing. In general, if you are pushing ahead from the third line and they are in the second line, you keep on pushing till they tell you to stop. In this case, we can't let them get the Hane at the head of 3 or 2. So this is a really dangerous Tanuki because when we take this turn, we're now threatening to kill this entire group. So this comes in Sensei, and black needs to respond appropriately. So a really good exchange for us. Black's alive, but we've got some really good strength. So now let's respond to what was done up here. And this is important life and death stuff, just understanding that black wasn't alive yet if we take this turn. Yes, this is an early second line move, but it threatens to kill, and it stops black from extending. So very, very, very big move. Over here, black has approached our corner, so let's go and reinforce it a little bit. We could do the 2-space high extension, but since there's already a stone here, I don't really like that. We'll just go and do the small knights enclosure. Could have done the 1-space extension, that would have been fine as well, but I did want to reinforce this corner now that black has a stone close to it. And then black comes and plays the large knights enclosure off of the 4/4 stone. Seems perfectly reasonable. So what do we want to do now? The corners are mostly spoken for, and so now we want to be looking at the sides. Which sides have the larger potential? We've got the top and the right. The right has more potential because black's got fourth line stones here. versus the third line stones that we have here. So over here, I actually missed that our friends played this before the shenanigans over here. I am going to come back and kick this stone. It overconcentrates black a little bit, helps secure our corner. Black should respond to this. And now we probably should look at jumping into the side here. And so the question is, do we want to play closer to the corner? Do we want to play closer to these stones? I'm unsure, but I'm going to play here. This threatens to take the base away from black if we get a move like S12, which is honestly fine because this group is out ahead. I am going to jump out to get these stones a little more safe. Worth noting, this corner is still not black, so we can still play something like R3, and it will be really tough to actually cleanly kill that stone. If we want to fully take the corner, usually you want to do it off of 3-4 stones. It's actually quite tough off of just 4 stones. Okay, so our friend is looking to pressure this group. That is fine. Well, how do we want to handle this? I don't think we want to get surrounded, so let's just go and jump out. It's important to make sure that our groups don't get fully surrounded. And black's going to peep again. Black should be a little cautious on this. It's making this group stronger than it needs to be. And we might be worried about what's happening with this game because we don't have any real points on this board, and we're letting black develop this corner, but that's okay because we are keeping our groups nice and strong, and we are going after the correct areas of potential. So we're still doing everything fine. This still feels like a perfectly reasonable game to me. So black is jumping out, but black's gonna be a little careful because there is a cut here. And so actually I think I'm just going to go push and take that cut right now. This was a little too loose. There's a cut on either side. And so we're just gonna push through. Our opponent did not protect their cuts. So we're just going to go and do something about that. So black has decided to fix the cut this way, probably sacrificing this stone, and that is perfectly fine. You want to know what? I'm just going to jump out one more time. This is turning into a really interesting game. I'm really enjoying how our friend is playing this because honestly, it's a pretty tricky game already. But really hoping that just by following the rules, we will get there. So our friend has attached. We're obviously going to respond to this attachment. It also threatens a cut. We must block. And so we will block here. Curious to see where our friend plays next. And so our friend plays here. I'm just going to descend. It makes it a little stronger. It threatens to link up to this group, makes our corner larger, fully takes away the base from this group. We're not going to really be able to attack this group. It's pretty strong. So this is just more of keeping our, we're kind of cashing in on our potential here, but also really just keeping the group strong. That's the reason we want to play this move. Otherwise, something like R17 would have been a pretty difficult move. So our friend now goes and jumps in the side. And do we have a good answer for this move? I'm not quite sure. Is it Sente? I don't think so. So with this not being Sente, we want to take a look at strength of groups and potential on the board. So for strength of groups, everything seems okay. These two stones are little loose. This group is strong enough. And then for potential, obviously there's a lot of potential on the bottom here. There's some potential on the side, and there's some potential here. But I think going after these two stones is probably appropriate. So I'm just going to jump in the middle here. Worth noting, we have a strong group on the bottom and a strong group on the top. So we should be able to handle any fights that happen here. So we've got two options. We can go and take the side just by extending and playing the Hane, or we can look to cut stones. I would prefer to cut stones. So I'm going to play this Hane. If black cuts, we're going to take this Atari, and then we're going to connect, which really threatens the livelihood of this stone. Black goes to capture this stone. That's fine. But it leaves some awkward aji. Like we can play this for free, and black is going to feel like they need to block, and then we can play this for free, and black's going to need to play here to capture the stone. Okay, black can do that. That is fine. I was going to play this move anyway after black connected. Now, black's going to have to connect. You can see just how many stones, how over concentrated black is here, and that is fine. So we've got these stones. Black does now have a strong group here. So let's move in the direction that's going to be interesting. We're going to move to the right. We're going to block black so that we can move towards our stones. And we're going to play here so we can move towards our stones. Black should probably extend, at which point we will do something about this group because the group is getting in, a touch of trouble. I'm going to push here just to threaten to cut. It also keeps this connection good. And now I'm going to play some shape moves over here just to get the group a little bit stronger. We could also look at something like this to try to link up. But I think I'm just going to play a nice solid move here. Make sure that this group is okay. Because remember, strength of groups really, really important in the middle game. We want to be able to reduce this corner, but we can't do that if we've got a group that has that can be counterattacked, because then black can get forcing moves against this group before responding to the corner, making it tough. But if we've got a nice strong group, then we can look at some more forcing moves here. Okay, so black turns. That's fine. This was just kind of a peep. This stone not terribly important. So we've got a big territory here. We've got a pretty big corner here. Black's looking to get something here, and black's got a good corner here. Let's go over invasion stuff. It's always fun to do. So let's go look at this corner. What can we do about this corner? That is a good question. Typically, we're going to want to just probably attach to this stone. So I'm looking at either Q3 or P4. So let's look at just attaching to this stone. We can look at Q3, we can look at P4. I'm unsure if Q3 works, so let's go attach to P4. It's a pretty annoying move, and it plays on the outside, so we can look to connect to this stone or connect to these stones. We can go and play the Hane here. This is a pretty common shape after we've attached to a strong stone. Remember, we're attaching to strong stones here. These aren't weak stones. Playing this Hane just gives us some good counterplay here. We can now do something like play this Atari, and then we can play this Atari. And now we just connect, and this just reduces a little bit, which is perfectly fine. We weren't looking to, it'd be nice if we could live in there, but that seems a little unreasonable. So now we'll just extend, keep this stone low, and get our groups connected. And now black has to worry about this stone a little bit. It's most likely fine. Let's go push one more time because it threatens the Hane at the head of 2, which would be really big in this situation. It is bigger than this stone. So we are going to play the Hane at the head of 2. If black wants to spend another move to capture that stone, that is our gift to black. Black turns. We will extend. We don't want this. We don't want this to get pushed in. We've invested a lot into this territory now. We want to maintain as many points as we can. Here is the Hane scary. I'm not so sure the Hane is scary here. I think there are probably bigger moves on the board. So let's go find one of those bigger moves. Because if black Hanes, we'll just play here, and the double Hane isn't scary. So what do we care about, guys? We're in middle game. We care about strength of groups. We care about potential. Where is there potential on this board now? Well, looks like there's a lot of potential here, so let's do something about that. So we'll go and take this extension. It'll secure us a few more points, but more importantly, will give us some access to the center. So we can just push here, and then black plays there. I wonder what happens if we play this. What happens if we play this? Well, let's find out. Because now if black cuts, we get to take this Atari and then drive in, and we get to reduce the potential. So black does cut. We will Atari, and we will extend. This is just looking to reduce the potential that was in there. That's all we're looking to do. We are more than willing to give this stone up to break up what's happening over here. So now, what do we want to do? We want to reduce this as much as possible. So let's come in on this side. This will help strengthen our corner and give us another avenue to come in. So if we get this move in Sente, that feels pretty good to me. Let's go break in. We'll play off of our strength here. So black Hanes, we will just extend. We are in no position to Hane here. We're just going to extend. This is how we're going to reduce this, and that is going to be fine. It's going to be enough. This corner is big. This corner is big. This side is big. Black has a large corner here, and then whatever they get in the center. But that's really it. That's not going to be enough to win this game. And so black responds by pushing. We will just keep on pushing. This is perfectly fine. What's nice about this is we're threatening to connect up to our F12 stone, which was just a sacrificial stone we played earlier in the game, and we're also threatening the cut here. So I'm just going to keep on pushing, and if we're able to connect to this stone, that's pretty fantastic. So I'll push through here. That seems like a reasonable thing to do. Oh yeah, and black really, the cut. I think it would have been fine. I think it would have been fine, right? Yeah, we had this cut into this cut, into this, but I think we're okay. I think black's okay. Unfortunately, with black playing here, we just rip right through, and black's position just completely collapses now. Black's not going to die, but you can see that it's just been reduced to nothing, unfortunately. So I don't think there's really a way for black to recover from this. But let's see what our friend does. Okay, they just decide to push. Seems, I mean, it's fine for us. I'm certainly not worried about that. Okay, I'm going to descend here to threaten to kill these two stones. It also will develop this a little more, because if black follows that up with this, we can now play this high. This was just going back. I kind of skipped over it. Where's our potential? Well, there's still some potential here. Can we play the double Hane? It seems dangerous. It probably works. But it seems a little dangerous. So let's just extend here. The cut might, if black doesn't do anything about it, the cut will work for us. So black has to do that. We will now take the Hane. Just gets us a handful of points here. Okay, and black takes this Hane. We will respond. It comes in Sente, because this cut is pretty large. Black extends. And do we want to connect? I think we probably do want to connect. This group feels fine, but man, it feels a lot more fine now with us just being fully connected. If white descends, we can look at just blocking. We can also look at descending, but I think I'd rather just block and take the liberties away. So okay, so how do we want to handle this? It's a little tricky here. I think we're going to play this lovely shape move, and this should solidly connect us up. Hey guys, so other Gabe didn't really do a good job of explaining this one, just kind of played this move really quickly, and then he also forgot to go over it in the review. So let's take a look at why I played this move so quickly and why I was so confident in this move. This is a pretty common shape move when you've got these 3 stones and black looks to break in. You play this to link it up. To show you what it better looks like, so let's say white has these 3 stones and black has this stone here, and then looks to play here. This is the same shape. This is the typical shape move, because if black tries to push through, we get this nice tiger's mouth. If black tries to push through, we get this nice tiger's mouth. It is worth noting, this does leave 2 cuts, and we'll only have timing to fix one of them, right? If black takes one, then we can get the other. But in the game, we had some extra stones to help us out. We already had this stone here. We already had this stone here. So those cuts that would normally be there aren't necessarily here. Obviously, this one gets fixed nice. And then if black tries to cut here, it's likely not going to work. So that's why I was able to play this move so quickly with confidence that it was going to work out. It's a common shape. If you guys don't know it, it's one that you should learn. And so it's something I wanted to point out. Anyway, let's get back to the game. Okay, so black looks to push through. We will block here. This cut isn't going to work because we are able to Atari and then block here. Black only has 2 liberties. Black's never going to be able to get more liberties than that. So I think these 3 stones are probably dead now. I hope they are, because if they aren't, our entire group is dead. This is what I had read out. I know, I shouldn't be reading these things, but it's sometimes it's what we have to do. Okay, so black plays there. That is fine. We can just descend, which threatens to kill these 3 stones. If black connects, we can play the Hane here, and I think we will be okay. So black plays there. That's fine. We will block. This still threatens to kill these, and black plays here. So now black connects, realizing these 3 stones are likely dead. So we must capture them, because this is how we stay connected. We lose this entire group if this dies. So with this, the game is pretty much fully settled now. There is some end game, but there really isn't too much. I was going to say, something around B15, H18. Those are probably the big moves. We will go and play here. Okay. And then they respond with this. I don't want the Ko. I don't think the Ko is what we really want right now. So we'll just go and connect, and then we will block. This is all fine. And then once we get Sente, we can just go play. We can go play our big end game moves, and I think that'll pretty much be that. Okay, so our friend just descends here. That's fine. We will just go and block. And maybe black could play something like S10 to try to get some points here. But again, I think the writing is on the wall for this one. Oh, I love it. So our friend is going in. So we need to connect here. I like this. So we will connect. Let's see what resistance our friend gives us. And then I'm going to give you guys some time to figure out where you would play here. I feel like the connection... Okay, so yeah, that's fine. That is fine. Okay, so yeah, so now for endgame stuff, B15 quite large, H18 quite large. That's fine. We'll threaten to connect. So we're even going to get this in Sente. That's pretty rough. So black does capture, and now we can look at this to make sure that black doesn't connect underneath. We can look, it threatens the monkey jump, which is fairly large. Okay, this threatens the cut. I'm not going to play anything sneaky. I am just going to connect. just to make sure we are 100% connected. If we hadn't done this, black could have pushed through and then cut with K9. Black needs to be a little careful about this move now. So let's see if black catches that. Now that this liberty is gone, this cut looks a little scary. Okay, yep, we will absolutely block that. And I don't like this cut. It looks a little tricky, truth be told. So I'm just going to protect it, and I'm just going to protect it solidly. It's horrific shape, but it does fix the cut. I was looking at just playing like the typical eye space here, but we just don't need it. We've certainly got the eyes. Just wanted to protect the cut. There was a lot of aji there. Just did not want to deal with it. So now I think we'll just we'll call this one. There isn't too much left in this game, and I will see you guys at the end of it in a little bit. So see you guys in a bit. Okay, so here we are at the end of the game, and I bet this looks exactly like you guys were expecting it was going to when I last left you off. You'll notice that our huge territory on the left is now no longer our territory, but our opponent's, and that our opponent's bottom right corner is dead. And I wish I could go over it, but the link for the game, you'll just have to see how it played out. I made a big mistake. He caught me out on it, and then he made a big mistake, and I caught him on it. So you guys will just have to see that for yourselves. Anyway, let's go take a look at this game in the review and see where our friends could have done better. Okay, so here we are in the review, and as we're always going to be taking a look at this from the perspective of black. So here I was actually playing a little too quickly. There's nothing wrong with sliding back, but I always go over this when it comes up. We all know that if black plays here, typically we're going to do this, and yeah, black could come back and play high. There's nothing wrong with that. We also know that if we kick and black extended and we played here, black would typically play Q10 here as opposed to Q11. So when black jumps back a little prematurely here, we can kick right now, and if black extends, they're a little over-concentrated, but this really isn't a big deal. It's something I always want to point out. So we approach, and black does this pincer, and I like this. I like playing big, tricky pincers, but unfortunately, I think with our opponent cutting here, this is a very risky cut. It might work out okay, but it's going to be very fighty, and you better know the variations very well if you're going to play this. Otherwise, I would just expect black to play something like this. White would pull back, black would probably play here. White, honestly, would still probably play this, even though it's really over-concentrated. And now black has a decision of, do they want to make a base and potentially get pressed low or something like this to kind of get surrounded, or is black going to protect that and potentially get counter-pincered? So it's fine, right? There's nothing wrong with this. This is kind of what black invited with the pincer. But unfortunately with this, this is all kind of forced, right? We obviously have to take the cut, and we have to extend from the Atari, and now black plays here, which gives us this Atari. It may have been better at this point in time just to cut the losses for black and play here. We would probably turn, but by playing here, it lets us take the turn and then capture the stone, and we're able to keep on going. And I mentioned that if your opponent wants to keep on pushing from the behind from the second line, you let them. They're only getting 1 point per stone, and we're getting so much good influence here. So this is a really bad position for black to be in. Black tanukied, and we just immediately took the turn. The reason being, if black wants to do something like this, we can play here, and the corner just dies. So we get this turn in Sente. Black pulls back and is alive, but it's just a bad result. But it's interesting because, like I say, this is a bad result, but you look at this board, and it still doesn't feel bad for black, except for the fact that white has this huge overbearing strength on the bottom left. But it's really tough to see, like, is that actually going to turn into anything? It's kind of wild, and honestly, Once black played here, I was like, this might be a tricky game for us. I finally come back for the kick, and then decide to jump in the side. We could have looked at any number of moves here. We could have, like, honestly just thrown a dart. Any of these moves are going to work. The 3/3 is going to work. But I decided to just play this simple move, and black plays here. Seems reasonable. Another option that black could consider is just attaching on top. And yes, this is attaching to a weak stone. But there's so much room in here for white that it's gonna be tough for black to really contain this. And this will get some good influence to go with what's going on the left side, and kind of balancing the territory back here. So this is an option, but this is also absolutely an option. So white, we jump out, black peeps. We need to be careful with these peeps because it fixes the only weakness that white has with this group. And it doesn't really get black too much. It's not like Q10 is really doing too much for black right now. So, and then black plays on this side. This is probably the first, other than the bottom left corner, this is probably the first move I really don't like for this game. And the reason is, so we're solidly in middle game now, even though it's only move 34. I guess 34 is probably pretty typical for middle game. But the issue is we're in middle game now, and when you're in middle game, I said this a lot during the game, I say it a lot in all of these. There's really only two things that we should be focusing on. That is strength of groups and potential, both the strength of your groups and the strength of your opponent's groups, and your potential and your opponent's potential. So when we look at the bottom right-hand corner, these three stones are already nice and strong. Okay, I've mentioned they do not fully secure this corner. There's still lots of counterplay for white here, especially as this group gets stronger. Okay. But this group is already plenty strong enough. So a move like this kind of, to me, says that black's doing this to build potential, right? To potentially try to get more points here. This doesn't look like a strength move. And if we're looking at moves that are purely for potential, there are much larger moves on this board. Black could play something like this to try to dampen the potential on the bottom left and grow theirs. Black could play something like this or something like this, and try to reduce some potential up there. There's obviously a lot of potential on the top side. So to me, this move is inefficient if it's done for potential, and it's inefficient if it's done for strength because the group is already strong and this isn't where the potential is. Also, black's weakest group on this board right now is probably this group, and we're kind of vying for strength here. So we're able to jump out. Black peeps again, which again forces us to fix the only weakness we have. Going back, if black instead chooses to jump out here and we jump, it's worth noting that there's a cut here if black gets this wedge, right? If white Atari's here and then black connects, if white plays here, oh look, there's a cut. And if white plays here, oh look, there's a cut, right? And similarly, if white plays here, if white connects, oh look, there's a cut, right? And same thing for this side. Are any of these going to work? We don't know, okay? But they're there. They are there for later in the game. But when we play this, it forces white to fix both of these, and then black jumps out here. But honestly, I'm not gonna lie. At this point in time, like this feels like a difficult game to for me to just keep simple and just kind of play. And so I kind of revert a little bit to playing a little more firmly than I normally would in these situations. That's something that I have to figure out. So we play here. I like black's response quite a bit to this. And then so we jump. This seems reasonable too. There is some, so it's worth noting there's very much still this Aji. This Aji is really a pain in the ass. That's one thing that we have to consider when black is playing this, because it really fixes that Aji for us once we get this. If black decides that they're strong enough on the outside, especially if black is willing to give up this potential territory with R9 on the board, there really is no territory there. This is a very strong move. it's a really hard move to respond to in this situation. Normally white wants to play this, but this is not as devastating as a move as it normally is. There's there are a bunch of resources on this. A lot of the variations are quite complicated. But the one quick one I'll show is if white plays this, it's a pretty sad result for white. Black is able to play here. White can't take the Hane because then this happens. And so instead, white has to block. Black plays here, and then white plays this. And so we get all this in Sente, and even later in the game, black can play here, and white has to capture. White can't descend because then black connects and the two stones die. So white has to capture, and then black can play this. And you can all of a sudden you can see that white's corner is completely gone. So there's still a lot of Aji there, but by forcing this, it lets us fix this with really good timing. So a lot of kind of Aji Keshi in this game. But then black takes a nice big move, and we decide to jump in here. Things get a little tricky here. So we connect on top, and then this variation happens. It's worth noting that if black's unhappy with this result that happened in the game, there's another option. Black can, whoops, not there. Black can connect underneath. White can't descend there because it's all sorts of nonsense. It's going to end terribly. White has to capture, take the Panuki, and then black's going to connect underneath. But the Panuki is really big, right? So white is happy either way here because white's getting this Panuki in Sente. But then black's also alive, strong. There are no concerns here. But with this, we kind of saw how this played out, and this turned into a really, really big territory for white. And if I didn't get silly at the end of the game, this would have been enough to win the game. Okay, so we came back, we strengthened this, and now here, black has Sente. Black has absolutely decided they had Sente because they played this move. So, let's take a look. What should we be considering on this board? We want to consider strength of groups, and we want to consider potential. So are there any weak groups on this board? Not really. Everything looks fairly strong. So then we want to be looking at potential. And where is there potential on the board? Well, white's got some potential here. Black's got some potential here. Black has some potential in the center. And there's a little bit up here. So where do we want to play? We probably do want to play somewhere in the middle. But we still have a side unspoken for. So as black, I'm probably going to play a move like this, just to get a base, look to get some points at the top, while also threatening more in the center. It's going to be tough to keep, right? White can come in this way, white can come in this way, white can come in this way. It's the center. There's a reason that it's the last thing that we want to put our energy into. But here we've got a nice side move that also looks at the center. This is just a little too slow. It lets white find the timing for this, which I think would be pretty big. But I wanted to showcase some invasion reduction stuff, so that's why we went at the bottom. So I mentioned that we could have looked at Q3, but it's all going to be complicated. I should have just played it, even though it's really complicated. White has a couple of really only 4 options to consider here: A, B, C, and D. And C would be, so let's start with A. If black plays A, we're going to have 2 main options, A or B. The extent, I think, would be a little, I think that'd probably be asking to die. So I would be looking at A or B. And it all gets complicated here. If black connects, we can look at trying to connect out. And if black plays something like this, we could descend. And it kind of looks like white's alive here. We could take the outside. And here, I'd probably expect black to extend. And then we get the Atari and then the connection. This is kind of what happened in the game. This is very similar to what happened in the game. But either way, we decided to just take the outside. And yeah, this is pretty much exactly what happened in the game. Seems like a fine result for both players, honestly. So here, though, anytime there's an invasion, the person who's invading generally they're not going to get sente, right? The invasion's going to end in gote. And so here again, black has decided they have sente, but unfortunately plays this really small move. It threatens one stone that really isn't important on this board. And again, just seems like a very large move, and or this is also a large move. But here, unfortunately, it lets white get the reduction in sente, and so then white's able to get a big move, and then get the next big move. And it really hurt. This really hurt black to let white get both of these big moves because they were so large. Black potentially could have gotten both of them. So here, I think the cut was probably a little too aggressive. I think just pushing here is probably completely fine. But I did want to break into the center. But this seems reasonable. So let's see. Yeah, here it does get tough for black, doesn't it? Like it really hurts to let white get this push. But if black just keeps on pushing here, we're eventually going to be able to connect to F12, which is really problematic. So what could have black done to stop this? I don't know. There's a reason I played this move. I think this is just black lost the timing to really be able to hold the center. But yeah, once we pushed through, the game obviously felt very, very, very over. And then, yeah, we were just in good control. So yeah, so there were just a couple of missteps with black, handing us sente a number of times when we shouldn't have had it. And then when black had sente, seemed to be focusing on points more than the bigger stuff. Anyway, let's just skip so you guys don't actually have to go to the SGF to take a look at the silliness that happens at the end. So our friend eventually plays A4, and I just mess it up. Like I just completely mess it up. Instead of extending like a normal human being would do, I decided to play this. This doesn't work. Because black can just play here and we can't capture because it's a snapback. And so instead, this terribleness happened and black took the ko. I think just connecting is fine here. White still can't play this, right? Because it would be a self-atari. But black decided to take the ko. And then when I played this ko threat, black was like, sure, we'll do this. And this is a good exchange for black, as long as black ends with getting this eye. But that's not what happened. Black played here and then played this, and we were able to kill the group. So that's what ended up happening with how the corner died. We basically just traded corners, but a kind of a wacky game, a wacky way to end the game. But anyway, that's really all I have to say about this one. I hope you guys enjoyed this exciting game. I know I did. Hopefully our friend had fun with it as well. But anyway, that's where we're going to leave this one. So as per always, thanks for coming out for another ride in the Struggle Bus where every wheel's an empty triangle. Have a good one, guys.